When you thought about becoming makeup artist, what was your family reaction? Did your family say like choose any stable job? Why are you going into this industry?
So before taking up makeup artistry, I got into movies. I've done 7 movies as a protagonist.
So is it true that like that person who wants to enter into makeup industry, that person should be creative?
Like any other profession, we really work very, very, very hard. There are no timings. The weekends are, gone in bridal sessions.
About what kind of certification one should do before entering into this industry?
These days, social media is a very big weapon.
Is it really worth it that people should leave their job?
The happiness of getting a fixed salary every month in your account really, really matters. They have to start practicing and creating a portfolio. Build it.
What is the worst advice you have seen on the social media that is given by the influencer to the people?
I think makeup and skincare are two different things altogether and people just fail to understand it.
But if we are breastfeeding and pregnancy we are planning, how the breastfeeding is connected to that?
It gets seeped into the derma. It's inside. It gets absorbed and then it works. So it gets into your bloodstream.
How to achieve that no makeup look? Should we use the nude colors for that look? According to the dress color also, this no makeup look changes. How much makeup artist they earn maximum?
There are people who charge per bridal session also.
Oh.
There are people who they don't want to pay you and they are, making up all sort of things, the bahanas that come up.
What is the next future trend is coming up? Before entering into this industry, what are the 3 things they should keep this in mind?
First thing,
Today, my hands are shaking while doing the makeup for the podcast because our today's guest is Bangalore's famous makeup artist and educator, Mrs. Mridula Bhaskar. She will be telling us about all the reality and truths of makeup industry, how much they earn. If someone wants to enter into the makeup industry, what are the things they should take care and what are the certification and courses they should do? And what are the upcoming trends in the industry. So let's not wait further, but before that, please subscribe our channel because this channel is for women from women. In this channel, we bring so many topics related to women, their health, their wealth, their growth. So please subscribe the channel and please welcome our today's guest. Hello Mridula, welcome to the channel Talk with Supermoms.
hi Swati, thank you for having me here.
Our pleasure. Today when I was doing the makeup, my hands were shaking because I knew like Bangalore's famous makeup artist and educator is coming. So first you tell me about my makeup, if anything I can improve, any mistakes I have done in my makeup because I am not makeup pro. Recently only I have learned makeup because I'm 1986 born. So that time we didn't used to do too much makeup.
Yes.
Recently we have learned, our generation has learned. So what are the mistakes I can recover in this makeup?
Firstly, when I met you in the beginning, I must say you're looking absolutely stunning. Okay,
So sweet of
there's nothing that you need to improve or anything because ultimately makeup is very relative. What you are comfortable in is the right kind of makeup, and I think you're looking absolutely stunning. Your makeup is on point.
Thank you so much. So let's try to know your journey. So when you thought about becoming makeup artist, what was your family reaction? And when you thought like this is my calling to become the makeup artist, why didn't you choose any stable job? Did your family say like choose any stable job? Why are you going into this industry? So what is your experience?
So before taking up makeup artistry, I've done several things before. So I'm a law graduate. I completed BA LLB, and even before that, I got into movies. I've done 7 movies as a lead protagonist, and before that also I was modeling. I worked with a lot of brands like GRT, Thangamaligai, Lalita Jewelry. These are top brands in India. So I was into modeling, and I'm also a Bharatanatyam dancer. I started performing at the age of 3. So since I've done so many things, whenever I wanted to learn something new, my parents were always like, go ahead. do it. It's good. Learn it. So that's how, I had a small break after my law, final exams. And then I thought, let me just learn makeup, because whenever I used to see people doing makeup on me, sometimes they used to make me look really beautiful. And sometimes I used to look completely different from my skin tone. My face used to look a lot rounder.
Yeah.
So I always was very curious. I wanted to learn makeup. So I felt that was the right time, and I got into learning makeup. This was for myself because I wanted to take the influencer route and I wanted to teach makeup on YouTube. So that is what I learned makeup for, actually, not to become a bridal makeup artist. But the irony is that by the end of the makeup course itself, I had one girl reach out to me on Instagram. She said, your work is really nice. Can you please come for my wedding and do makeup? And when I met her, she told me the wedding is in Gangtok. And then she flew me down to Gangtok. This was 8 years back. On Valentine's Day, I went and did her makeup 8 years back. So that's when it is sinking into me that, oh, actually, I'm taking a bridal makeup now. And after I came back, also back to back, a lot of sessions and the response of each bride that used to come. And my parents sat me down one day and they asked me, why bridal makeup? Because you've had so many people work on you. I work with a lot of top stylists and makeup artists during my journey of being an actor and a model. So they were like, why makeup? Do you think it's the right profession for you? Because it's very different from what you've done till now. But eventually, I think as they saw a lot of reviews that were coming, they were really happy. On one side, my parents were a little skeptical in the beginning. My husband was like, he's like, okay, do what you want. If you're happy, do it. But my parents were really skeptical. But off late, they're seeing the feedback of the clients, they're seeing the students and the feedback. They're really happy that I'm doing something I like. So I think that's all they wanted, ultimately, me being happy.
Great. So today we are going to talk about the makeup industry. If somebody wants to enter into this industry, what are the things they should know before? So is it true that like that person who wants to enter into makeup industry, that person should be creative?
Yes, of course, creativity is very, very important for a makeup artist. But as a makeup artist, we are in the necessity to work towards what the client requires. So you have to be in that framework. At the same time, be very creative within the framework of what the client requires. So it's even tougher than being just creative.
Yeah.
So yes, creativity is absolutely important.
Before entering, like many kids or many people, I would say, want to enter into this industry now from last 5 years, I can say.
Yes.
What are the questions they should ask themselves, like before entering into this industry, that they are fit for this industry or not?
See, when it comes to the makeup industry, I see so many, videos on Instagram which talk about buying luxury cars, luxury bags. I'm in that position, but the ultimate thing is it's very hardworking, just like any other profession. We really work very, very, very hard. There are no timings. Sometimes we don't get personal time at all. Like the weekends are, gone in the bridal sessions. We don't get to come back and spend a lot of time with the kids, especially those few days. Of course, there are a lot of positive things. You're working only, 10 to 15 days max in a month, and then you earn as much, that you earn in the entire month. So you do get little time in between, little rest in between. So those are the things. Instead of working 30 days, you're working for lesser days and earning the same amount. But if you are thinking that if you're a person who wants to take up makeup and think it's all very flowery, it's actually not. The way people treat you, for you to get used to that, and the timings and lot of other things which are there. So it's not as easy as it looks. It's a long, tough journey. So that
people should ask themselves, like, if they are ready to do it, if they are ready to invest their time, energy, then only they should enter.
Yes,
They
time,
should not
energy.
think it is easy than others.
Yes, it is definitely very tough. In fact, I would say a little tougher, because you, instead of working in a corporate where you have a nice environment, you go, you're respected, here it's completely different. We don't get used to a lot of things that we see, when we go and work, the way we are treated. It's very tough sometimes, but you have to get used to that. Keep your ego aside for some time, and then get into the industry.
You have to, I think, earn your respect slowly, blessed.
Yes, very true.
What kind of, if certification and courses, if we talk about, what kind of certification one should do before entering into this industry, or any certification is not needed?
So in India right now, we have no certifying body per se in makeup. That's why we see hundreds of makeup academies in every road. We have a makeup academy now because there's no valid certification saying this particular certificate. Whereas in UK or Dubai, you have to sit for a licensing exam before you take up makeup artistry. That hasn't yet come in India, but there are few organizations which are capable of certifying you, like the London Academy of Professional Training. There is SIPTAC, there is NSDCA, Skill Development Authority of India. So these are some valid certifications which require certain amount of work from the academy also. They have to set their curriculum. They cannot do whatever they want. They get assessed. The students get assessed before taking it up. Like my academy, we have taken up London Academy of Professional Training. So the certification is valid in 180 countries. So we are to adhere to the way London Academy tells us to teach. The faculty has to go through them certain times. So these things has to be adhered to. So maybe these kind of certifications will help if in case licensing comes in India later on.
Yeah.
So these certificates will be helpful because many of them print their own name and certificate and give these days. So that is not going to be valid if a licensing exam comes.
So what do you think? Like licensing is going to come into India?
I think it
upcoming
should.
years?
It definitely should because the standard is really important. Because when we see makeup artists these days, many of them who just completed the course a month back start makeup academies. They neither have industry experience. They would have not seen how clients are. They would not know a lot of things like hygiene, how they maintain. Back to back when they do clients, they have to maintain hygiene. They use the same brush, same eye palette, same every kajal. They put it into one client's eye and then they go. The doe foot applicators of lipsticks, everything, there's no hygiene, there's no basic things that makeup artists we follow is not followed by many of them. So licensing exams are really important because it brings a fear to work correctly. So that should definitely come.
Yes. If a person enters into this industry and tries to enter into this industry, how, like, there are so many academies these days, as you said, like
Yes.
many are open. So how to find the right educator?
So the right mentor, I would say first look at their social media handle, see reviews, what they have given versus try to reach out to few of the students who have passed out. Talk to them and understand how the course was, and that matters a lot. Next very important thing is, are they working on brides? Because currently a lot of educators don't work on brides. They've just opened academies and they're just teaching. But for the changing trends in bridal, and actually a makeup course is 50% makeup, 50% client handling skills. So being a makeup artist, only if you have the experience of handling clients, you will be able to imbibe and teach that to your students, right? So if they are not working on any brides, they will not be able to teach what client handling is. They
experience,
will not be able to understand. And the next very, very important thing is how many students they've taught before this. You have to see what is their experience. Are they really teaching? Are they working on brides? These things are very, very important because these days social media is a very big weapon in people's hand. I would say weapon because it can be used in a good way and in a bad way. So people see the number of followers, and they are very enticed by the gossip that people talk on Instagram. They're always thrashing other makeup artists. The lack of professionalism. There are a lot of things which people come up for. But I think we should learn from a thorough professional who knows the industry rather than people who are thrashing other people on social media to become famous. So knowledge is more important. So all these things matter a lot because tomorrow when we go and face the client, these things are not going to help.
Yes.
So
Client
experience in the
experience, as
industry.
you said, definitely it's very important because every client is different.
Of course.
And their expectations, their mood, how to like set according to their mood and their skin, everything is different
Yes.
to handle the client. That
Yes,
is really important.
Yes, of course.
So, so many people come out of the academies like every month and every 6 months, every year. Do they really all get work in this industry? I think recently so many people have joined this industry. I would say like so much crowd is there. So
Yes.
everybody gets that much work?
Actually, it's a very good question. See, now, there are more than 900 to 1,000 people who pass out every single month just in Bangalore. But the thing is, there is a demand supply that comes into the picture whenever it's service. And when people pass out of the industry in Bangalore and surrounding areas alone, we have about 10 to 12 lakh weddings which are happening. So there is enough demand. But the main thing is when newcomers pass out, clients will not want to go to them because they are new. They don't have any experience. They're
Definitely
scared.
brides though will not take the chance. But
Yes.
yes, for other makeup people can take chance from
Yes,
newcomers.
yes. So this is the tough thing which is happening, and many people message me on social media asking help to sell their makeup kit because they've invested in the course and the kit and they are not doing any work and it's going to get expired in a year or so. So please help us sell it. We've already invested half money. Also let them pay. So
okay,
this is the thing today. So people cannot just go out and get clients. It's very tough. So in fact, that is the reason which I, brought about the client support in my academy. So after they complete the course, the client handling and everything we do for them. We book the clients, we take them until the trial, and we give the brides to our students.
Okay.
So in a way, it helps them, to get the first few clients and set their firm mark in the makeup industry before they venture out on their own. Now for us it works because there are two ways in which we can get clients. One through referrals where you work and then they suggest. Another thing is through social media where we run ads and we do that. As an organization, for us it really works because the amount of money which we put into the ads works out because we have so many makeup artists. Whereas if a single person has to do social media marketing to just get brides, the number of muhurtam versus the amount invested will not even match. There will be a vast difference. So that's why we were able to, do it, and we have about 150 students who are ready to work. So that is why it works for us. So it's very tough for newcomers to, it's a bad state actually.
So like your academy provides the first reference, but if somebody doesn't have the academy like you, if they are individual, how they can get the first client? Like they should start with free, doing with free, and if their work is liked by someone, they should get the reference like this should start?
Yes. One thing is after the course is completed, immediately working on clients is something which I will also not suggest. They have to start practicing and creating a portfolio. Build it. Like it need not be a professional photo shoot where you're calling a photographer or anything. Everyone owns a decent phone today. And of course you have some nice looking friends. Start working on them initially. Build your page first, show your work, what you exactly do. And one very nice thing, a suggestion which I have is to offer free trials. So if a bride wants, just tell them, you just come for a free trial. If you like my work, you book me. Otherwise, no questions
Before the
asked.
big day, they can come for the trial. If they like it, they can...
Yes, that's a very nice way to actually get a client and when they book you for a trial, you work really hard and make sure you convert it. Because first the client comes and sits, if you don't convert them, you're also demotivated. At the same time, client is also unhappy. So we have to do a lot of back-end work on constantly practicing. And of course, offering free trials and telling them, please come over. I'll do a makeup look on you. You see if you like it. That is a way they can start off.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And after that, that person's skills is there.
Yes, of course. That really matters. Everyone can't do. Makeup is art and science put together. So everyone can't get it right.
I have seen that people are leaving their job and entering into this industry. Really, like makeup artists earn that much? Like, is it really worth it that people should leave their job and enter into this industry?
I would suggest no.
Oh.
Okay. Because when a lot of students who come to me tell I'm quitting my job to join this makeup course, I'll tell them take a sabbatical or take a months off and then do the course, or you can take up a weekend, because that happiness of getting a fixed salary every month in your account really, really matters. Only if you do not have it, you'll understand how painful it is, because makeup, all said and done, is a very seasonal business.
Yes.
There are few months that there will be no weddings at all. So I tell them take it up first, learn everything, and side by side, maybe try to balance it along with your work. And once you are really established and you're stable in this, then quit your job. Because I don't think it's worth it when you have something so stable readily there with you. Why would you want to quit it and get into something which is so,
New.
Yeah, new, and we do not know what will happen next. It's really, you cannot predict. It's unpredictable.
Yes. When we enter into some industry, then only we come to know the reality of that.
Yes.
I have seen like some makeup courses are 1 month. There are so many topics in the makeup industry like skin, hair, nails, mehendi, sari draping. How these topics they cover in 1 month, I really don't understand. How these are covered, like they are really little bit touched upon, or how much month's course a makeup should be?
Actually, I also don't know how they cover it. It's really very, I find it very ironical because nail requires a good 1.5 months to learn. Mehendi also just one day, or like one day also is like 4 hours of class. You cannot teach them mehendi. You need to make them practice the strokes and, get it right. So I don't know how people put everything into one course and teach. Because makeup, hairstyle, sari draping, I feel can be completed in 5 to 6 weeks time. But everything together in one course, I think it's just going to be shallow knowledge about everything, which is,
Not deep knowledge.
Yeah, they will not be able to handle clients, and in turn it's going to be loss for the student. So I feel it's, should never be done. We do something, you teach that properly, and leave. Many students ask me, why you're not teaching mehendi, why you're not teaching this, because it's an buzzword for all the academies to get students. I will teach you this,
Everything.
and now there is cosmetology and parlor and beautician and everything in 1 month. So we need to learn something, you learn it properly, because till today no client has asked me to do mehendi. No client has asked me to do nail art, or a client has never asked me, beautician related like salon services. Never I have,
So niche should be there.
Yeah, you should be fixed onto one thing and you should do that properly. So when a client comes to me, I know that I can handle any skin. That much of confidence you should create in yourself. Not like, oh, I know this, but I don't know to do anything properly. So that should never be that. Jack of all trades and master of none has become a trend, but you should be master of one.
Yes. So how many months this course should be?
That's what. If it is only makeup, hairstyle, sari draping, 5 to 6 weeks is good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good enough. But of course, post that also you have to constantly practice. I keep telling that to all my students also. Every Saturday, I call the old students and tell them, come and practice in front of me.
Oh, great.
So that we always do that, because once you lose touch, makeup is gone. So we have to constantly practice.
In this industry, so many trends also change dynamically. And if you are not in touch, then you are out of the industry.
Yes. Constant practice is really important.
Yes. These days, social media, we see so many influencers are there who tell us about makeup, the products, do this, do that, buy this, buy that. Like so much confusion. So I would not ask like which is good, which is not good, but I would ask you ki, what is the worst advice you have seen on the social media that is given by the influencer to the people?
Okay, so first and foremost thing, makeup and skincare are two different things altogether, and people just fail to understand it. You can be a makeup influencer, but I've seen advices like there's a product called Glow Tonic. It's got glycolic acid. Glycolic acid is a very high content, very high and strong exfoliator of the skin. So they say use the Glow Tonic and you'll get a glowy makeup base. So I laughed looking at that video, because this is an exfoliating agent. We are talking about an active glycolic acid which is applied. It takes time. Your skin takes time to get used to it. It purges completely. It loses its first layer and then rebuilds itself. Okay. That is the kind of strong ingredient it is. And we say use it as a makeup base. So you're just exposing your skin to something which is highly pigmented, like a foundation, right after exfoliating it, which is going to cause even more damage. And the next thing I saw is tretinoin sandwich method. They say tretinoin and retinoids. They say put a moisturizer, put the tretinoin, put the moisturizer over that. No, tretinoins and retinoids have to be, suggested by a dermatologist. the percentage of it matters. You
Okay.
cannot use it if you're breastfeeding. You cannot use it if you're pregnant. These things have to be completely avoided. You know, we should never do. Whenever you go to a dermatologist, the first question they ask you about any skincare, are you planning to have kids or not? Are you planning to conceive? So we cannot just take any random thing. Tretinoins are very, very bad. It will really damage the skin barrier to an extent where it will never come back to its normal, you know, state again. So these kind of advices which are just blind, and even brands these days want to push this kind of you know, content, because there was a brand which reached out to me for toothpaste. You know, they said make your teeth yellow and then make it look whiter.
Oh.
You know, so these are the gimmicks that are used, and people for barter collaborations, and we influencers are all over now. So no one really bothers about what people are going to do after watching your reel. They use the product, what happens?
Yeah.
So these are some of the worst advices I've seen, because you have to go to a dermatologist. We are not experts. We are only makeup artists. We have to stop. We have a limit where we should never, you know, say salicylic acids, glycolic peels, tretinoins, retinoids. No, we cannot talk about them. It's a dermatologist who has to suggest it.
Okay. But if we are breastfeeding and pregnancy, we are planning, how it is affected, like if we are applying on the skin, how the breastfeeding is connected to that?
So, see, any product that you apply on the skin, you apply it on your epidermis, but it gets seeped into the derma. It's inside. It gets absorbed and then it works. So, it gets into your bloodstream. There are a lot of products like formaldehyde. That also you should never, like hair straightening, hair smoothening. These things that you are never supposed to do when you are pregnant or breastfeeding
yes,
because
I have
of
also heard,
formaldehyde. Yes. So this gets into your bloodstream. This gets into body. It part of your plasma, because you are ingesting it through your skin. Skin is as much absorbent as much as we eat. So it's very important we avoid these things completely.
Okay. As we are talking about social media, there is one buzzword is also famous these days, like glass skin like Koreans. So how this, first of all, Korean industry, how they are so much big. And actually, I have worked 8 years in Samsung R&D, and I have traveled to Korea also.
Okay.
I don't know why people are too much like behind this glass skin. Actually, their food is different from us. The food they eat, that's why their skin is like that. Definitely our skin is related to our food. So they eat seafood, they eat like different kind of seafood like octopus and all those things. And because of their food, their skin is like that. Definitely skincare they have very advanced, but how Indians are blindly following it, and really Indians can achieve the glass skin, or is it really just
That's what you only answered half the question. Skincare, there are two parts. One is food, another is exercise, and then the products.
Okay.
So if you're going to use only one part to define skincare, it is, you know, not at all possible, because what goes inside shows on the skin. And if you're not constantly working out and letting the skin you know, breathe and giving it that flush of, you know, blood and blood flow in your body, your skin is again going to go bad. And the next important thing is skincare. So products alone can't do anything. Of course, it's a beautiful trend. I also love it. And in makeup, lot of brides ask us to recreate it. I do have it as a part of my course curriculum on how to
Okay.
create glass skin makeup. But if genetically your skin is decently good, then only we can take it to glass skin level. If you have skin with cystic acne, or you have skin which clogs a lot, and you know, it matters on the basic skin type. If you have decently good skin, then using those products you can take it to a certain level. But if you want to completely transform your skin into a Korean, it's absolutely not possible. Koreans, even if they are 50 years old, they look 18, 20 at the max. I have seen so many people who are pretty old. They look very, very young. But in India, we are not like that. We are skin of color, and we have our own pros and cons. I think we should embrace ourselves
Yes.
more than trying to go behind trends.
Yeah. As you said, like we should embrace ourselves. So many clients you have done the makeup. Do you think like India is still obsessed with fair skin tone? Like people do tell you like make me that much fair on my big day, or if you are doing the makeup, make me fair. Like if I am not fair, but make me fair.
A lot, actually. This was a trend about 8 years back, 9 years back when I was doing makeup. That time, everyone used to tell me, I want to look fairer, I want to look fairer. The positive change is many brides nowadays tell me, I want to look exactly my skin tone.
Okay,
So,
great.
a lot of brides coming up in that way. But still, there is that, certain set of people who say, I want to look fairer, I want to, look at like 2 tones brighter. They still say, but as makeup artists, we are allowed to listen, but not
Yes.
allowed to judge. So they ask, we do. That's it.
Maybe sometimes bride don't want, but family wants.
Yes.
So they tell like make her fairer.
I mean, usually we don't go by what the family wants generally, because I think we both coming from the same time of birth, we are the way our weddings would have happened or the way we were is completely
Yeah.
different. Today, brides are like, I want it this way, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they don't even consider what the family requires. Like at least 90% of the brides have that liberty of making their decisions on their own. So they are very clear. So
They
in
are
fact, the
very, very
parents,
clear.
yeah, the parents come and tell me, my daughter wants it in this way, so please do it as per her liking. I
She
don't
should
want
be
to.
happy.
She should be happy. So most of the brides want to look their skin tone. It's a positive,
That's
beautiful
great.
change.
That's great in
Yes.
India. Yeah, I also agree with you. Like these days, brides come with so much preparation.
Yes.
They do Googling and they want like this much, this look I want, that look I want. So maybe it may be harder for you or maybe easier for you. I don't know.
It's much harder actually, because we get people with AI pictures. They
Oh.
show that I want to look exactly like this. AI is different and real human skin is different. Like people have this myth that pores can be closed. I have to completely change the way my skin looks. That makeup artist did it. The only thing that can change the texture of the skin is filters. Nothing else can do it. Makeup cannot change the entire texture. It's just a layer which sits on the skin. Of course, minimizing is possible, but changing completely is not possible. So it's much tougher because people come with AI for hairstyles, makeup, liners, everything. So they don't understand their eye shape and the eye shape of the person. So it's very tough,
Yeah.
but yes, we have to explain, sit them down and talk to them for hours together to make them understand. But I think that's where our work lies.
That's
So,
where the client experience comes
yes,
into picture.
yes.
So new trend, I have also heard that like no makeup look makeup. Many celebrities are following that. How to achieve that makeup? If I want to do that makeup, how can I achieve? And if you are teaching to your student, how you will be teaching that how to achieve that no makeup look makeup?
So, no makeup look is basically accentuating the features just the way it is, just a slightly beautified version of all that you have. That's it. So, if the person has extremely textured or pigmented skin, to give a no makeup look becomes absolutely impossible. Because without products, how are we going to cover those pigmentations and the tanning and everything, the uneven skin tone? And we are a skin of color. We are rich in melanin. So we as Indians have a lot of pigmentation. So to give that no makeup look, the skin has to be really good first. So skincare is the first goal and thing that we have to keep in mind, because that's why celebrities only do it. Because they take care of their skin in that way. They give that amount of care, diet, water, hydration, everything matters a lot. So you have to first work towards good skin and then look into the no makeup trend that is there. But yes, it is a trend now. The soft glam look is something we can do on any skin type, but a no makeup look requires a very good skin type.
Okay. So should we use the nude colors for that look?
Yes, colors matter a lot. So we do not give too many contrasts in the skin. Like we have a thing called contours and highlights that we use on the skin to accentuate the features. So we don't go too much contours. We don't go too much highlights. So we sort of keep the contrasts very minimal. So the skin looks a lot more natural. So that is one thing we keep in mind in these no makeup looks. And of course, we go in nudes, like soft browns, warm browns, light peaches, light pinks. And lip also, we keep it very, very soft, like their lip but better. We pick shades like that, so they don't look very different from what they
Few
already
years
are.
before that smoky eyes were in trend.
Yes.
Now I think, as you said, nude shades you use for the eyes also and for the blush also, and you are saying like for lips also nude
Yes,
colors.
yes.
So somewhere we can achieve this no makeup look with these
Yes.
nude colors.
Yes, yes. Softer colors and keeping it more monochromatic, that is eyes, cheeks, lips, all in the same family and same color. That is there. I mean, but makeup is like, puff sleeve blouse trend, no? It comes into trend and it changes and then
So
it's the same way. So makeup also, one day this is the trend, next day something else is the trend. So it keeps changing.
Yeah.
But right now, yeah, the no makeup, soft glam looks are the trend.
Okay. So according to the dress color also, this no makeup look changes?
Yes, we do take the colors from the dress only because we cannot have disconnected. Like there are few things which we see as makeup artists: the eyes, the lips, the cheeks, the dress color. So all this should correlate. So sometimes even lens that the brides want to wear. So we cannot give a completely different lens. Like you cannot give a brown color eye and a blue color lens. It's going to look very funny.
Yes.
Like Nagin type, it will look. So we have to keep everything, all the features marrying into one another. We cannot have, warm tones and cool tones mixed. So we use the color wheel for that. So we make sure that, everything falls in the same family. So sometimes you look at a makeup and you're like, something is missing in that. We feel that, something is not right
Correct.
in this.
When we look to the some person, we think
Yes.
something is...
Yeah, it's nice, but something is wrong with it.
Yes.
So something has gone wrong in the color wheel. Mostly that is how it would be. The colors are not matching of what they have done, like eyes, lips, the dress, everything is disconnected. Then you feel that way.
As we are talking so much about skin, let me drink my water. So, earning wise, if we talk about, like many viewers may be interested about the earn, like definitely everything is about money. So how much makeup artist they earn maximum? Let's talk about in Bangalore first, maybe then all over India we can talk about. So how much max they earn, how much average they earn?
See, first, earning completely depends on the makeup artist. So there are certain people who are very ambitious, who do not understand what the industry is all about. I will only do bridal makeup. I will only do, party makeup. I will not do this makeup. I will not do. I cannot go at this time. So as a makeup artist, we have to be ready for everything. So that is how it works. So if considering you are ready for all that, in a good month, then you can starting. If you see, you can make about 25 to 30,000 as an entry level.
Okay.
Right? Makeup artist. And of course, it's seasonal. So some months are there where you'll like minimum 20, 30,000 you would make. Some months you'll be making zero because there'll be no muhurtams at all. And some months which are there, it will go up to a good 1.5, 2 lakhs also, but it definitely depends on the experience. Like as you gain experience, you can charge better. Your kit gets upgraded into higher end products, so that you can charge a little more. So even 7, 8 lakhs is a good amount in Bangalore.
Great.
In Bangalore, I'm saying, but all over India, if you see, there are people who charge 7, 8 lakhs per bridal session also.
Oh.
There are people who charge that much. So, of course, if they do quite a number of brides, even crores of money is what they see. But as a makeup artist, I would suggest that because of the competition, we should branch out into several different things. We have social media these days. We have teaching these days, online classes that you can take. So, venture into something where you're constantly getting some income. So, that is something as makeup artists, because we have the art of makeup with us. So how well can you use it in different facets? So that is one thing which I would tell makeup artists to do. From day one, work on your social media handle. From day one, think about how you want to, showcase yourself on social media, because you can teach, you can do makeup, you can become an influencer, you can do self makeup, you can do makeup on others, you can promote brands, so many things that are there. So people have to be very, they should take advantage of what they have today.
And shooting skills also these days is very important. How
Very
you shoot
important.
yourself, how you shoot your client.
Yes, of course. Lighting, shooting skills, everything matters. You're
So
right.
much pressure.
Yes.
Okay. So as you said, it's seasonal. So how you manage your money? Like because seasonal we are getting and sometimes we are not getting. How you manage your money?
See, when it comes to makeup artistry, especially when it comes to Hindu weddings, we have these Ashada months and Dhanurmasa where it'll be zero money literally. But just before these months, people want to get done with a lot of weddings. Like before Ashada, it'll be a peak wedding season, like the March, April, May, June, like this time, because June time the Ashada month starts. So next in Dhanurmasa, so the November, December is the absolute peak every year for any makeup artist. So when we have these kind of things, you earn really well during that time. So I'll suggest that 3 things that we have to keep aside our money for. 60% I feel should go aside for your savings and for your personal expenses. 20% you should keep aside for marketing, because you don't market today, tomorrow you don't have a bride.
Yeah.
So you have to invest in marketing, taking videos, posting good quality content. So 20% goes into that, and the rest 20% has to go into replenishing your kit. Because without good products, we cannot again work on clients.
Yeah.
So I feel I have always done this, split my money in this way. And even if I'm not wanting to buy, like I get a client, I'm not saying immediately 20% of the money I have to go and buy a new product. No, I take the 20%, keep it aside, as in when my products are getting over, I use that money to invest in newer products.
Okay.
So that is how I have always functioned, and it has worked well for me. So I feel this is something people can follow.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I definitely think it will be really helpful for the viewers. Sometimes I've heard like some people don't pay to the makeup artist after the work is done or the payment is delayed. Like how to handle this situation, these kind of situations.
Very, very tough. Actually, many makeup artists face this these days. In fact, when we give clients to our students, we tell them, don't leave the location without collecting your money.
Okay.
See, in this way, it's not about blaming the clients or anything. The obligation of a makeup artist is to go and do the makeup. Right after that is done, the obligation of the client is to pay the makeup artist. And obviously, when they are so busy with their wedding rituals, they do not look into payments as such. Some of them say we will pay you later, and then they ghost the makeup artist at all. They don't even pay them. Everything, they just stop contact with them, and then they don't pay. This has happened in many instances. Luckily not with me, because we make it very, very, very clear. But some known people who I have worked on, like close circles, I've been behind them for the money. They'll pay after a month or so. This happens many, many, many times. But what we have to make very clear is to tell the client beforehand that when we are done, before we are done with the makeup session, please make sure the payment is completed. Because we are doing our work correctly, they have to pay us. That it is not fair, but many of them do it. After that they say the makeup is not good. Everything came out, so I will not pay you.
This I have also heard. Like if they don't like the makeup or whatever they thought, according to their skin, it didn't come out that like according to the picture. They say generally like I didn't like it, I will not pay you.
That is when the client trial session comes into the picture. So you can tell them that this is exactly what I did on the trial session. So there was no obligation for you to book me. You took the service because you liked the makeup, and this is not the way it goes. That is something we can communicate with the client, but ultimately if they don't like the makeup, we cannot do much. But if they say everything is good when you are in the location, and after you leave they say the makeup is not good, everything went for a toss, nobody liked the makeup, and because of that I'll not pay you, then it means that there is something fishy over there. They don't want to pay you, and they are making up all sort of things, the bahanas that come up after that just to not pay. It's happening a lot these days. We only have to be cautious. We have to give a written message to them that it has to be paid and this much amount. So I say 50% you collect before, and before you complete the event, make sure rest of the money is collected so that everyone is happy. Client will also be happy, we will also be happy. Once the money is transferred, makeup becomes good in many cases. So in that way, it's better we collect the money and then leave the location.
Yes. Yeah, definitely we have to be straightforward.
Of course. Because there's no corporate you're working for. No one is going to question you. It's just women who they feel are very helpless, and you can take them for a ride. And a lot of women only do this.
Yeah.
Unfortunate thing.
And I hope some clients must be very good also with the treatment to the makeup artist, and to the payment wise, treatment wise, they must be very good.
Yes.
It's, I think 50-50 ratio is there.
Of course. It's not 50-50, only 20% are like this. 80% of them treat you really nicely. They, take care of everything over there and everything. They do payments. Everything is on time. But 20% are there who are, this way. Unavoidable. I think in every walk of life you meet people
Yes,
like this.
definitely. So, what is the crazy client experience with you if you want to share one?
Actually, lot of it. So we've had clients who, there is one particular client who told me that the pores are not completely covered. I want flat skin. When she had cystic acne, her skin is full of pits, and she says, "I want flat skin." I said, "That's absolutely not possible. These are experiences. Then one very unfortunate thing is, first thing, when any jewels get misplaced, they would have given it to their own relative or something, and then they would have forgotten. Anything gets misplaced, immediately you're the one who they turn head towards. Oh, she was the one who was here, so she would have taken the jewels from here. Or they'll say, keep the jewels inside, she's looking at it. Keep the jewels inside, she's looking at it. So these are very, I don't know why, because we do makeup, it doesn't mean that, or even otherwise, economical status or anything should not define the way you treat a person and everything. And also experiences where clients would not even give you water or coffee or anything, when we are working. Like, we would have gone at 2 in the morning. We will be working there till 7, 8. We won't be able to step out of the room. We are not expecting, if we are just sitting there, we would go out, have food and come back. But we are working on them. So there was this client who came up to me and said, "Do you want to have coffee?" I said, "Of course, please," because we were working from 2 in the morning. It was about 6:37 or so. Like, I would love some coffee, I told her. And then she brought 1 cup of coffee and gave it to me while there were 7, 8 people also working along with me. So I felt really bad, like, because I'm the boss over here, only I get coffee, and they are not humans. They are also doing their work. So these are things which I feel...
Basic courtesies.
Yeah, basic things which people sometimes... I don't know if I have to blame them, because it's a wedding and feeding people is good, at least according to me. But people are there like that. I think it comes with the profession. We just have to learn to live with it.
And what is the toughest thing as a makeup artist? Do you think like this is the toughest thing in this industry?
Lot of tough things, but the biggest toughest thing is keeping your ego aside, because sometimes when clients I work with a lot of very high profile clients, and sometimes when we are ironing the sari, or sometimes when we are making them wear their jewels, there are comments like treat it with care. I don't know if you have touched such kind of things. These kind of things put us down a lot, because everyone who work, not that they would have not seen beautiful jewelry or beautiful saris. We could be of...
Just their work.
It's just our work. That's it. So I might have worn a much better sari than that for my wedding, or I might own much bigger jewelry piece than that back home. So, or I might travel in a better car than them. So that is different. It's completely different. I've come to serve you. I've come to do work for you. That doesn't mean you look down upon me. That is something which I have found to be really, really tough. So when it comes to this profession, keeping your ego aside and forgetting, this is one thing which I fear a lot. When many people, come into the makeup industry, they get very, very demotivated with such comments. So this is something I faced. I felt really bad. I've cried out many nights, when people say such things to me. But I think over a period of time, I'm like, okay, fine. That's all they know. Let's go with it.
Yeah. That's sad, but yeah, these things are improving also, we can say.
Yes. It is improving a lot now. Like I said, 80% are really good. 20% of the clients are there. We see that in all walks of life.
One thing I have noticed, like one of my relatives is also in the makeup industry. She always looks good. So isn't it too much pressure that they should always look good? Like, people judge you according to your looks. If you are beautiful, then it means you will make me also beautiful. Is it in too much pressure?
Actually, I don't feel it's too much pressure, because if you're a makeup artist, you should love doing makeup, whether it's on yourself or somebody else. Okay. So I feel, see, the main reason why I started loving makeup is to look nice. So I wanted to do makeup on myself, which is why I learned makeup. So I think every woman wants to look nice and the best version of themselves. So I don't think it's pressure. Like even before I became a makeup artist, I wanted to dress well. Now after I became a makeup artist, I take more effort in doing it. So I don't think we should take it as pressure. We have the liberty of doing all the beautiful makeup looks on ourselves also as much as we work on clients. So I love.
But every time you're like, you should look beautiful, like every relative also will judge you, and like your hair, your skin, your way of doing the makeup, everything. I think everything will be judged.
It will be judged, but we should take it with a pinch of salt. I mean, ultimately, comfort is also important. So, obviously, if you want to be well dressed and you love doing it, do it. Otherwise,
I think
don't
after
bother.
a while it becomes habit also
Yes, yes.
of becoming tip top every time. Like it becomes habit.
Yes, I cannot step out without my lipstick.
Okay.
I need to wear lipstick whenever, even if I'm going to the next grocery shop, I'll wear lipstick and go. So that has become a habit. So
And
like
all
you
the
said,
women have something which they cannot step out without that. Like
Yes.
I cannot step out without my kajal.
Yeah.
If I will go without kajal, people say, "Oh, have you cried today? What happened? Are you not well?"
Yeah, so you're a very eye-focused person. I'm a very lip-focused person. I love my lipstick. You love your kajal. Many people I have heard can't step out without kajal also. Yes, we as women only have that.
Yeah.
So as makeup artists, we take extra care in dressing up.
Okay. If we talk about the products, is it really true that expensive products is equal to flawless outputs? Because I have also tried many products. If it is expensive, they're really good on skin. But is it true for all the products?
There are certain expensive, the OG products that we call, which can never be recreated. Right, there are, because the products, that is the raw materials used in making these products itself are very
I
expensive.
think research is done good.
Yes,
like in
very good research that is done. Having said that, the output completely impossible with drugstore products is not something I would agree with. There are professional grade of products which we use. We cannot use a consumer range and create that kind of a flawless look. So professional range of product which is not as good as the high end versions which we talk, but still very nice. There are products like that which I would also suggest for the entry level makeup artists to invest in such kind of products. So with that we can give a decent amount of output, but of course expensive products, it is there, the finish will be completely different, and certain products which can never be recreated, that is definitely there. Like there are certain products like Charlotte Tilbury, the airbrush flawless finish powder. So that I have never seen any product like that till now in the market in a drugstore. It's never happened. So there are certain products like that.
Okay. And are there any products which are costly but don't give that much output?
See, it's very relative to the skin type. So even as makeup artists, we have about 7-8 brands of makeup foundations alone in the kit that we own. So every foundation will not suit the person. So a good product is where the foundation matches maximum number of people. Like there are only a small population which it doesn't suit. So that is why we call it a good product. But definitely every product will not suit everyone. That is why we have a different range. Like your skin type matters, the weather around matters, a lot of things that matter. So everything will not work for everyone.
Okay.
Yes.
These days, I am also a customer. Like when I see so many products in a category are available, so many brands. Like if I want to choose a moisturizer, for dry skin also many moisturizers are available. For oily skin, so many are available. If I try to find the foundation, for my skin tone also many brands available. It's too much confusion is there through the social media, too much availability.
Correct.
So how to find a good foundation, good moisturizer, like amongst these heap of brands, how to find the good one?
So first and foremost thing, you first have to understand your skin type, what is it, and the weather we are in. So based on that, your skincare matters. But skincare also, you can take the help of a dermatologist to analyze those things and give you the best products. So some of them have this thing. Dermatologists are meant only when we get rashes and burns, and when the skin is itching, we go to a dermatologist. Even for your regular skincare, you can visit them and get advice. When it comes to makeup, again, it is the finish that you want. What is the budget that you have? All that also matters a lot. And one more very important thing is to patch test it. Like I said, every product will not suit everybody. So it's better first time when you purchase the product, visit a shop, swatch it on your skin,
Okay.
feel it, let it sit on your skin for some time. I always tell my clients who come for self-grooming, swatch it, go around the mall, for an hour, hour and a half, see if there's any reaction and then pick the product. So that is something, you can keep in your mind, because all said and done, for laymen, the terms that we use and the ingredients that we see in the products is going to be too overwhelming.
Yeah.
So this is the best thing. Swatch it, see if it works, and then use, and see if you like the finish. So because everyday use, you have to invest in better quality products, because all said and done, if you're going for too low, and I don't know if you've seen the things of how they prepare it on YouTube. It's just some colored powder which they, put with petroleum jelly and make lipstick. So these things are very harmful actually. They have lead and a lot of, carcinogenic things. So better to go for a decent professional brand or a high-end brand is something that I would suggest. But of course, the finish budget also matters.
Okay,
Yes.
fine. So these days, men are also too much, like they are also spending for the professional makeup on their big day.
Yes.
So what is your suggestion for the men's skin to take care?
Oh, I am so happy that this is happening, because always I had a feeling that when I used to go, doll up the bride, the boy will look so simple without any makeup. I'm like, why? But he also deserve to, do a little bit.
It's their big day also.
It's their big day also. I've always felt that, but now they're taking a lot of effort. It's a very welcoming change. I'm very happy. And of course, good business for makeup artists also because of that additional business that we get. But men's skin actually reacts a little differently as compared to women's skin when it comes to skincare. They do not easily, they're not very sensitive to a lot of products like the women that we see. So in that way, I see a lot of memes also. Men put rinse soap also on the face, their skin will be really good. So in a way, that's on a lighter note, but they don't react so easily to, products. So a basic skincare routine like moisturizer, sunscreen, kind of a skincare for their skin type will do for men. They don't need to step into any major, skincare 10-step routine or anything. A basic skincare, at least that they follow, will control the tanning and everything. And apart from that, when it comes to makeup, it's tough to do men's makeup, because the no makeup look that we want has to be exercised on them, because women have lipsticks, women have eyeshadows. We cannot use all these things on men.
Yes.
So they need to look good, they need to look their skin tone, they might have pigmentation, but you need to make it look very natural.
Yeah.
So it's a little tough to do makeup on men. You need a little bit of experience and a little bit of expertise for that. But I'm very happy that they are also stepping into looking nice.
Yeah, skin is same for everyone.
Of course.
If girl is using sunscreen, boys also should use.
Of course.
Even kids also should use.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, this point you have raised very nicely. Like, I think men makeup is more tough.
Yes.
I thought men will be easy because they are not choosy. Anything we can put on them, but that is the no makeup look we have to give them through makeup. So
Yes.
that is more difficult.
Yes. When clients actually reach out to us, there is one thing which they say, simple makeup. I want simple makeup, so charge me less. This no makeup is the toughest thing to do, if you ask me, because we have to keep their skin in the way it is, but make it look better. It is very tough. Lot of preparation, lot of experience on knowing how much product to put. The minimum amount which goes a little more on the skin, it'll make it look very cakey in a no makeup look. So it is much tougher. So when clients say simple makeup and charge less, I tell them that is only tougher to do. There's nothing called simple makeup. It's either a glam or a no makeup look. So which is tougher anyways.
Yes. What is the next trend in the industry? So because this is very dynamic industry, trends are changing very dynamically. What is the next future trend is coming up?
So now we have glass skin, which everyone speaks about. I feel the next trend is moving towards blurred out, filtered kind of skin, because it has changed a lot since I got into the industry also. Like when I got into the industry, it was all about glam, full glam, smoky eyes like you were mentioning. This was like the glam. And then we got into matte,
That time shimmer,
Yeah.
everything was shimmery, was in...
Yes, glitters and shimmers that we used to use. Then it was a matte, soft,
Yes.
subtle kind of a look. Then we got into no makeup looks. Then now we are at glass skin. Now next I see a lot of products also moving towards blurring now.
blur.
Blur. It's like it looks like they've put a filter on the face. Like it's a very blurred, soft kind of a makeup. Lot of products which are moving towards that. And even when I see the international launches, it leans a lot towards that now. Usually the UK, US market is slightly ahead of us when it comes to makeup trends. I see like glass skin first shot up, got really famous with Pat McGrath. When she's the mother of makeup, we say. So she had done that first on a runway. So that is where it became very, very famous. And then we started creating glass skin looks in our own ways. And the next trend is also underpaint method. Yeah, we say that. That's like you apply all the products on the face at once, and then you use blending techniques to create everything. So that's an underpaint. It's a very old method, but now it's coming back to trend. So these two things I feel will, sweep the industry for the next 2-3 years.
That's very new.
Yes.
I haven't also heard that blur one and that like paint method.
Yes. Because I'm in the industry, I keep reading a lot, seeing the trends, and I do follow a lot of makeup artists from abroad as well. So attending their master classes also is something I really love doing because it's different. Here and there, makeup is completely different.
Yeah, trend comes from there.
Yes.
As you said, like you also read many things. If a makeup artist, the new makeup artist, and she or he should be in the industry, and what are the new trends, what they should do? Like they should attend many workshops or reading, like where they should read, and like what are the process they should do to stay in the trend?
So there are so many. See, one thing which I really love doing is there are some OG makeup artists who I follow on Instagram and I see their work. So sometimes we wonder why a person made it big in the makeup industry. What is so good that, we don't like the makeup. But the thing is, some major population is liking that makeup. That is why they have made it big. So these kind of makeup artists who are there, I keep following. Every single day I will go through their posts. I see a lot of interviews and I see what are the product launches which they are doing. And you see that, one person comes out. There is a product called the Gucci Gloss. Okay, so glass skin became very famous and then this Gucci gloss came up, and then after that you see all the major brands, Makeup Mario and back to back, Pat McGrath, everyone brings out similar kinds of products. So then you see it becomes a trend. So you have to keep observing what is happening, what are they doing, what are the kinds of looks. In their makeup itself, you can see the demos that they do. Like one time it will be very matte and then it'll move towards something glossy. The trends keep changing and you have to keep observing, keep seeing. Like social media is the biggest tool for us. We can learn so much from it. So they have to keep seeing and try to recreate it back home.
Okay.
That matters a lot.
Good. So if client point of view, if we think, before choosing the makeup artist for themselves, like what are the points they should take care?
Nice question, actually. Many people are so confused because so many makeup artists are
Available.
there. Yes. One very important thing I would see is to see their social media handle and first have a conversation with them. Just on a call or anything, have a nice long conversation and see how they're explaining things to you. Are they reciprocating to your needs? Because bridal makeup is not about doing, being the best makeup artist, because it's their big day. You handle them in a very calm way, make the day more special for them being next to them. That matters. So they have to reciprocate and understand your needs. Are they able to do that? That is something which we really have to see, because you will get tensed on your big day otherwise. Next thing that can take up is a trial session. They can go to the studio, they can explain their requirements, and they can create the look based on their requirement, and just a rough, consultation kind of a thing, which also matters. Next important thing is you can also see Google reviews. Google reviews on one side, because all the bad experiences only generally write the reviews.
Yeah,
the good ones,
people don't write.
so you should take it with a pinch of salt. But overall, if 80% of the reviews are very bad, it's better you think 2 times before you take it up. And one more very nice thing is ask your friends who they took up, and referrals. Take referrals because they've already experienced, the service once. So if they are happy, definitely, you will also have a positive experience. So that's something clients can really look into, because it's quite understandable. They are really confused with too many makeup artists now. Yes.
So these trials that you are talking about, so are they free for the clients?
So generally what I do is I call them over for a trial, and if they book it, then I reduce it in the final bill.
Okay.
Because we also have a lot of people who just come to see what products I use. Makeup artists
Get the
also,
idea.
like they are students, or sometimes I've had many people come over like that. So just to avoid that, I say I charge a small amount. A very small amount actually, and then I reduce it from the final bill if they book the session. If they don't, that amount is payable. So that is how it
Like
works.
you said, like so much confusion is there. Some people say we do celebrity look, we do celebrity makeup, and some people do normal makeup. So how these people are doing celebrity makeup? Is there like makeup products, tools are different? What is the catch in that?
So celebrity makeup, normal makeup, see, makeup is makeup. It depends on the skin tone, skin type, the surrounding which is there, the dress that they're wearing, the background that is put up, the lighting that is there, whether it's an indoor wedding, outdoor wedding. These are the things we keep in mind before doing makeup, whether it's for a celebrity or a bride or anybody for that matter. So doing makeup, you can call yourself a celebrity makeup artist because you're doing makeup on a celebrity. But the makeup itself is not different. It is just the same. We have to anyway keep these things in mind, whether it's a bride or a celebrity. So I don't know what is celebrity makeup per se, but definitely the things which I mentioned have to be taken into consideration.
So is celebrity makeup means they have done makeup to some celebrity,
Yes.
or they do makeup like celebrity?
No. It is not recreation or anything, because even a celebrity, it's only that they have done makeup on a celebrity. So they call themselves a celebrity makeup artist. That's it. But makeup per se, because I've been on the side of getting makeup done and doing makeup. So I've been on both the ends. So I know that the makeup is same everywhere. So these things that we have to keep in mind has to be kept in mind only, and makeup is done, whether it's a bride, non-bride, celebrity, whatever.
These days, many brides are also so much obsessed with the celebrity look, like Kiara Advani look, and so much celebrity photos they will bring, and they want the same makeup. So, like makeup artists also do this different things while recreating the celebrity look.
So when we have to recreate, it is, see, every look, say maybe Kiara Advani looks good in that eye makeup, but your eye shape might be different. So we have to adapt the makeup according to, the person who's getting the makeup done. But overall, we keep the look. Like sometimes they would have not used kajal. They would have just gone for a very
Nude eyes,
peachy color eyes. And then they go nice and heavy on the lashes, keep it, very beautiful lashes. And then they give defined bushy brows. So these are the elements that we take and do it in a way it suits the person who's coming to us. That is the expertise of a makeup artist. So again, celebrity makeup artists, we are trying to take inspiration from their look and then change according to what our client requires. So that's there in all the clients.
Cosmetology also you talked about once. Like, is it true? Like, while doing this makeup industry, while entering to this knowledge also should be there.
Not necessary at all. I did it much later in my career only. Not, in the beginning of my career. I've only worked on clients, and that's what I'm saying. Generally, it's better we branch out what a professional has to do for that particular person, because if we want to do everything for that person, something will go wrong somewhere. Too many things come up, right? So for skincare, let them go to
Some knowledge should be there,
Skincare,
definitely.
let them go to a dermatologist. To us, let them come for the makeup. Let them go to a stylist and fashion designer for their clothes. So that is something we should always let people do their job. So I suggest we don't do it, because sometimes we don't know what are the repercussions that it could cause. So we are going and suggesting some product and then it reacts badly on the skin, then it will cause unnecessary. They'll never refer you again.
Yes. In the end, I would ask you to give some 3 tips to our viewers. Like, aspiring people who want to enter into this makeup industry, before entering into this industry, what are the 3 things they should keep this in mind?
First thing, right after your makeup course, it's not going to be like clients are going to come and you're going to become a crorepati, and it's never like that, because every profession takes time to build.
Yes.
That patience and perseverance should definitely be there with that person. They have to patiently keep doing the same thing day in, day out. That's really, really important, because without patience, we say, oh, I'm not getting clients, oh, I'm not getting clients. It doesn't work that way, right? We actually, for going to a job, we go to school, and then we do college, and then get into a job. So this is also a job, and that is very important. And then you should be ready to multitask. Everything you have to be able to do. You have to shoot videos, you have to edit it, you have to do the makeup, you have to carry your kit, you are your porter service, you are your everything. So editing, everything. We have to handle everything together. So keeping the ego aside, we have to do the work. Like I cannot carry my bag, I need some assistant to do it. You are losing out there. So we have to take our own stuff. We have to get going. We have to do it. We have to keep everything aside and put your heads down and work. Next, a very, very important thing is you have to create like a shell around you.
Okay.
At least until you understand how to handle clients who are a little problematic, who do not know how to convey. Sometimes people want to say one thing, they say something else. So, and we get very demotivated and hurt. Maybe they are also not wrong, we are also not wrong. But you have to create a shell. You have to be focused on what you actually have to do over there, because whenever we work in a corporate, we are protected by the company. We have certain things set in place, but when it comes to freelancing, we don't have that, right? So we have to be our own shield. We have to create and keep your mind focused on what you are there to do. So that is something I always tell everybody.
That's great. That's great. It was so great having you here, and you share really very nice tips and really very nice insights of your career with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Means a lot. Thank you for having me here. It was an absolute pleasure.
It's our pleasure. So I hope today's podcast must be very helpful for you. If you have any comment, any doubt, send us your comments. We will try to get the answer from our today's guest. And let us know on which topics you want to see the podcast on our channel. We will try to cover them also. Thank you.